You will be chipped, it's just a matter of time. That's what analysts and educators tell us, but don't worry, what happened in Wisconsin is not about to go mass market yet. A small firm recently embedded microchips in their employees as a way to bypass company badges and corporate logons and to get attention for their cafeteria kiosks, which are available on a cashless payment plan like Apple Pay. Chip proponents tell us that having a chip in the hand is better than grabbing for the cell phone because you can never forget it and you can't lose it, and you have the capability to communicate with machines in a way we couldn't before. Others just think that having a corporation stick a chip in this hand is kind of creepy, even if the companies say that it can track you and that your information is private.
For me, it's a no, mostly because I'm concerned about what kind of health effects it might have.
For those reasons, analysts we spoke to say that workers at IBM, Facebook, Federal Express, Microsoft, The Gap, and so many other corporate giants have nothing to worry about. They won't get chipped soon. Consumers first, corporations second, which is why the analysts say, it's going to be a while, but you will be chipped. Progress, right? For USA Day in Los Angeles, I'm Jefferson Graham.
Jesse, what would you have done on September the 12th, 2001? What would you have done if you'd been president?
What would I have done?
Yeah.
I would have done a legitimate investigation to find out what exactly happened on 9/11. How did they know who did this so quickly like they did Lee Harvey Oswald? How quick they knew Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy.
Because the people who did it were identified and we knew who they were.
Well, then why couldn't we have stopped them beforehand if they were identified and we knew who they were?
It was a failure of intelligence. Everyone's accepted
No, it
that.
wasn't. We knew before with Condoleezza Rice's memo on August 6th when it stated right in the memo, bin Laden to steal planes and run them into buildings. And more stuff is coming out now also, how much the Bush administration ignored the intelligence. It was almost like they ignored it because they wanted it to happen.
Oh, come on, Jeffrey.
No, not oh, come off it. Wait a minute. Every war fought starts with a false flag operation.
You can't, in all seriousness, sit there and try and make out anybody.
Okay, let me ask you this, Piers. Wait a minute. Let me ask you something. How much studying have you actually done of 9/11 other than what the government's told you and what mainstream media has told you? I've been studying it 4 years.
I was editor of a national newspaper.
I've talked to
people.
Wait a minute.
Depth every day for 5-6 months.
Really?
So I know a lot about it.
Well,
and one thing I do know is,
let me ask you this then.
You cannot say that any member of the Bush administration knew it was going to happen and wanted it to happen. It's a ridiculous thing to say.
Ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about your BBC. I have a tape of a BBC reporter broadcasting directly back to England talking about a third building has collapsed. World Trade Center Building 7 talks for 7 minutes. All the while she's talking, World Trade Center Building 7 is still standing right behind her. It didn't fall for another half hour. Yet they were doing a pre-broadcast back to England yes, it's true,
you need to
that
take
this
a break
building fell and it hadn't fallen yet.
If you're trying to make out the British Broadcasting Company, one of the most respected news organisations in the world, was inventing huge buildings falling over, you need to have a break, Jesse. We'll come back after the break and we'll talk about Israel and Iran.
Are you kidding me? This is a fact, my friend.
Stretch. Big stretch. I'm sorry.
Mr. President. I know you said there'll be a time for politics, but you've also said you wanted to change the tone of Washington. Howard Dean recently seemed to muse aloud whether you had advanced knowledge of 9/11. Do you agree or disagree with the RNC that this kind of rhetoric borders on political hate speech?
Yeah. There's time for politics. And, it's time for politics. And, it's an absurd insinuation.
In that case, sir, can I follow up on something unrelated?
BuzzFeed dug up an old quote from Donald Trump talking about a large-scale terror attack 19 months before 9/11. In his 2000 book, The America We Deserve, Trump wrote, I really am convinced we're in danger of the sort of terrorist attacks that will make the bombing of the 1993 Trade Center look like little kids playing with firecrackers. Trump also mentioned the mastermind of the attack, writing, quote, "One day, we're told that a shadowy figure with no fixed address named Osama bin Laden is public enemy number one, and U.S. jet fighters lay waste to his camp in Afghanistan. He escapes back under some rock, and a few news cycles later, it's on to a new enemy and a new crisis." Trump.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. Is this really Trump before 9/11? Have you read this?
2000 in his book.
Are we making that? Somebody, did you make
Nick.
this up, Mika?
Nick.
I did.
Did you make this up?
Yeah,
Nick,
exactly.
tell us it's over, right? Because
Will
you're
you
wrong
stop?
about everything.
Mika, stop. God.
I don't think it's over.
What's that? What's the rage here? Will you stop
No,
picking
it's
on
cute.
him?
I think it's cute.
Well, no, really quickly though. I mean, so Willie, that was
2000.
2000.
In a book he wrote in the year 2000.
Well, it was published in 2000. He could have written it in 1999 for all we know.
Exactly. He might
But
have
he-
been more precious.
So he basically predicted the attacks from Osama bin Laden.
There's two different kinds of cloning. There's replication cloning where it comes up as a baby, put the cells in and make the same person as a baby. There's duplication cloning as well, where they grow you in a big thick tank, fill it full of water. They agitate the tissue sample a certain amount of times, and it grows a fully formed duplicate of you within 5 months.
They said it's mostly maintenance. It doesn't even cost that much. It's just they set it to growing, and then they have to have someone maintain the tank as it's growing.
They have to get like new bodies like I heard it was like every year, but I guess it's like every 2 years, and some people last longer.
I live in the capital of Washington State, Olympia. It's real conservative. It's liberals. Bullshit. Liberal conservative. Liberal conservative. Mainstream alternative. With sheriffs who raped and mutilated 2 teenagers in a satanic ritual. Yeah, that really happened.
Isn't that where the rainforest is?
Yeah.
By those enslaved. I mean, you look at the head of Silicon Valley, you look at all those people, those are slaves. They're not running anything. And they're scared. Because by the time you sign on to all this stuff, you find out, wow, you really screwed up. Because the force you sign on with is really bad news. But by the time they've committed all these sins against innocents, they're damned off from God. They're cut off, and they know. And so they're, I guess, just trying to get better seats in the Phantom Zone. You imagine, again, being trapped with all these evil globalists. They don't have kids and people to feed on. Just all together, basically in an auditorium forever. You imagine that?